Hello, this is YLAM with the FPV Race League, and today we just got in our first shipment of the Walkera 250 racing drones. So we're going to go ahead and open her up and see what we have in this box. So we quickly unboxed everything, and here's everything that we've ordered. So let's go ahead and run through it real quick, and I'll give you my initial thoughts of it. So the first thing we'll talk about are these motors. So these are 3S motors. They're specifically designed for the 250 runners, and looks to be overall pretty good design. It looks like it's a plug-and-play system, so that there's bullet connectors right there that will plug up to the ESCs, and then there are little mounts underneath the motors. So we'll see how good these motors last and whether or not they're a good design, but really only time will tell for that. Next thing that we'll talk about are the ESCs. So these are what the motors are going to connect to, and as you can see up top here, those are the bullet connectors to connect to the motors, and then there are pins here which I assume will connect to some pins on the frame. So both plug and play for the ESCs and the motors, so very easy to change out burnt out motors and ESCs, so that's always a good thing. It's definitely very difficult to do it on some quads, especially if they're already soldered onto boards. So good design there. We got some extra screws. You always want extra screws just in case you lose them. They're pretty easy. I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's actually Loctite on these screws, so you don't have to use any Loctite when you put them on. That's always a nice touch. Then we move to the propellers. The propellers are the self-tightening variety, and they're color-coded, which is nice. Now, they're not color-coded on the motors, so what I generally do is that once I put on a motor and I know it's going on to a silver propeller, I'll just use a silver marker and I'll just mark up that motor, so when I have to replace the propeller, I don't really even have to think about it. I'll just see the silver markings and match it up with a silver propeller. We'll see how these are self-tightening. We'll see how well they last when they crash. The plastic's pretty flexible, but it's not the most flexible ones that I've ever used, so we'll see how long they last. Again, time will tell. We'll race them, we'll crash them, we'll figure out how good these propellers are. Then we have the battery. These are 2200 milliamp S3 batteries, so 3S batteries. Pretty small design. Let's go ahead and open one up, see what it looks like. So out of the box, nothing really all that strange. Looks a lot like a Phantom 1 battery right here. The cord, nice and long, that's always good. Looks like it's well sealed. XT60 connection. Really, you know, standard 3S battery. Looks to be pretty good. It's rather nice that they went with a big battery, give you longer run times, and you can always go to a smaller 1300 when you're actually racing for time. So, you know, extra battery life for these, and then you can just buy smaller ones if you want to, you know, lighten up your quad. So that's all of the accessories. Now we'll go ahead and actually open up one of the quads. So let's go ahead and open this up. So 2 latches in the back. All right. There we go. So we have some foam padding up top. That's nice. We have this Ziploc bag, which has the transmitter manual, probably the regular manual as well. Let's see. Yep, the regular manual, the warnings, and the CDs. In here, we have one of the batteries. This is the 2200, as we already talked about, which is nice. The charger, most likely for the remote. I guess it's for the transmitter. We'll find out in a second. So to protect the transmitter. All right. Oh yeah, it's nice and tight in there. So here's the transmitter. We'll talk about this in a second. This is the charger right here. So let me take a look. This will charge at, looks like 1 amp. This, if you're gonna fly this a whole lot, this charger will not satisfy you. You're definitely gonna wanna upgrade chargers. This would probably take, I would guess, anywhere from 1 to 2 hours to charge one battery. It would take a very long time. But it's a basic charger. That's kind of what you expect. Transmitter cable. This goes with the controller. You'll never use this, but it's there. Tools for your quad. That's always important. I'll put that over here. 2 sets of propellers. So that's enough to fly. They don't give you any spares, so that's actually something important to know. So if you actually buy this, you definitely want to at least buy another set of propellers. So that's important to know. Put that over here. Protective foam, and then the quad itself. Let's see if we can get out of here without breaking anything. There it is there. Look at that. Already pre-built. Here's the wires for the transmitter. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Are we missing one on this side? We'll find out in a second. Put that there, and let me see if I'm missing anything. Looks like we're good. All right, so we'll go ahead and refocus in on the camera, and we'll talk about each piece in detail. So we had everything unboxed, and one of the things I was worried about was when we took out the quad, the transmitter cable was protected by this black metal piece that's going to stick out, and I couldn't find the other side of it, and this side looked like it didn't have anything. So I actually had to go into the box and take out the foam. It was actually at the very bottom. So just a word of caution, and when you get this and you look like you're missing one of these, you might want to actually dig into your box more and make sure you have 2 of these. So what it should look like, if I can get the little twist tie out of there. Bear with me for a second. There we go. So twist tie is gone. What we should see is something like this. And then the other side. So now the receiver cables will come out, and it should give you pretty good reception to the radio. So these 2 wires go to the receiver for the radio, and this should be the outward transmitter for the video right here. So as you can see, right out of the box, everything has been built and it's ready to go. Oh, there it is. So if you look in here, if you zoom in and you look at this, there is the OSD that I was talking about. So that should give you the on-screen display. That's what I was looking for. So we definitely did get the version that has the on-screen display. So that's good. So let's go ahead, open these up, and we'll put on some propellers. Actually, so if I turn the quad like the one, silver. There we go. And then silver on the other side. Black. And then black. So other than charging the battery, and that's what this is for. This is actually for the charger right here. So this will plug into that, and then you should be able to charge this 3S battery by just hooking up to it like so. And this would help charge your battery. But if I'm reading this correctly and it's only charging at 1 amp, to charge this fully depleted on average would take about 2.2 amps, which is basically 1C. It would take an hour to charge. So at 1 amp, this would probably take somewhere between an hour to 2 hours to charge. So that's a long time to charge your battery. So what I'm saying is you'll probably want an upgrade to this real soon, real fast. A good upgrade will probably cost you only about $50, so that's not too much to worry about. Let's see, let's take a look at this. So just initial impressions. It's nice that they already have this on here for your vibration dampening for your HD camera, whether it's a GoPro or a Mobius, whichever variety you want. Everything seems to be very tightly put together. The carbon fiber actually is relatively thin throughout the frame and even the bed of this. The arms itself, though, is very thick, so I don't think you're going to have much trouble in terms of breaking the arms. Plus, they're really short, so even if you hit something, they're going to be really stout. So arms are definitely by far the thickest part of the frame. The motors mount to the screws. They look like pancake motors, so we'll see how well these actually go. Front and back lights, the XT60 connector in the back right there. And one design thing that I do like about this is that the battery tray runs the length of the entire quad, so you can stick a very large battery, fly for a very long time, especially when you want to practice or if you're just cruising. But then when you actually want to race, you can fit a smaller battery in here, be lighter, and be more agile. So it's nice that they've already thought of that, and you can actually choose on whether to carry a large battery or a small battery. I will say it looks like you really can't remove the legs, because that's actually support for the battery tray. Because what I would say is if and when you're racing, I would actually just remove these racing legs and just allow the quad to sit on the battery tray, and you don't really need them, but they are actually support for the battery tray, so you can't remove them. You would actually have to do a little drumming, so probably not worth doing that. Here's the camera, and I believe you can actually tilt this camera. Yeah, so there are screws on each side, so you can go ahead and unscrew them and then tilt the camera, so that when you're flying like this, you can have the camera tilted up. So overall, it seems like a good design. We'll actually fly it and crash it to make sure it's actually durable. And then the last thing we want to talk about is pretty much the transmitter. I will say that I have used this Walkera Dewo 7 for a lot of different quadcopters in the league, and it's a very good basic receiver. Now here, give me a second. So I'm gonna come in on this side. So a lot of people will probably tell you that this is a very basic receiver and they don't like it, and they want something better. And there's no doubt that there's actually better ones out there. There's the Futaba brand, and then there's also like the Spectrum brand. But I can tell you, when you're first learning, because if you're considering buying a quad at this level or at this price range, you're looking for an entry-level quad, this controller is more than enough. I am a Futaba fanboy. I like the Futabas, and the Spectrums are also equally as good. And I can tell you, when you first start learning, and even when you become an experienced flyer, just for basic radio controls and learning and just having fun flying, the Dewo 7 does perfectly fine. So the last thing we're going to show you before we sign off is actually plugging it up and seeing the on-screen display. So to do that, all you need to do, as you can see, the transmitter is on. We added 8 AA batteries. If you're going to use this, I would definitely recommend buying the rechargeable batteries from Walkera and then plug it in. You're going to go through a lot of AA batteries if you use the AA batteries, but for right now we just went ahead and just used the AA batteries. Also, just based on experience, when you put this in, make sure it's seated in nicely. There are actually little insert slots right here that has to be exactly right and has to be in the right position, and then you can go ahead and close it. These are actually very easy to break. Just based on our experience from our other controllers, we've actually broken like a few of these off, so definitely take care when you're opening and closing this. Other than that, great controller. You just turn it on, throttle down, and then you can actually turn on the quad. So for the quad, we haven't even charged this battery. We just went ahead and quickly plugged it up, and then we got our FPV monitor over here, and we just went to the right channel. And the channel that we are on is 5733. So just in case you know, just in case you wanted to know. And here is the on-screen display. As you can see, it actually displays quite a bit of stuff. It actually even displays how fast you're going. Right now it's actually done in meters per second instead of miles per hour. That's kind of interesting. The important ones to really realize, and I don't know what all of these are yet. I'd actually have to read the instruction manual, but I'm just showing you the on-screen display. And let's see if I move it over here. It's a good image, so cool. But the voltage meters are definitely the important things, because when you're flying, once you go below a certain voltage, you definitely need to land and charge your batteries with LiPo batteries. If you go below 3.3 volts, you're going to come dangerously close to damaging your batteries. So that's why we went with the on-screen display version, so that you can actually see the voltages, but you still have to remember, you know, you're the one that actually has to make sure that you land. Over here, I can notice that we've see a counter on how long this has been plugged up, so that's kind of neat. But yep, just a basic overview of the on-screen display. That's the last thing we're going to show you. Again, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. We'll try to answer it as we learn more about it. Until next time, have a good day.